This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
Plant prices, as we know, have been steadily declining since 2020. And in 2025, that trend has only continued. So today I am sharing with you a list of plants that are now more affordable than they have ever been. Starting strong with the Monstera esqueleto. So back in the day, this plant used to be known as the Monstera epipramnoides. It is not. It has been officially classified as Monstera esqueleto. This is a lovely plant, and if you have no idea what it is, if this is your first time hearing about it, imagine a Monstera adansonii basically on steroids. So it grows so much bigger, and honestly, personal opinion, it's so much more impressive. But the best part is it is now so much more affordable. So back in the day, this could set you back easily $200. It is now way lower, and it is seen in a lot of plant shops. Obviously, with a lot of things in this list, it depends where you are in the world as to how available things are, but in a general sense, I'm seeing it nearly everywhere, and it is a plant that's absolutely loved by many. So if you don't have one of these yet, or you've always wanted one, now is absolutely the time to go and pick one up. Coming in super cheap as well, this is one of my personal favorites. This is Philodendron Glorious, and oh my goodness, it is possibly one of the best hybrids in terms of philodendron that you can get. It is a hybrid of Philodendron Gloriosum and Philodendron melanochrysum. Both of them are reasonably easy. They both have their pros and cons, but the hybrid they make together is incredible. Sizes up really well. Honestly, you kind of can't kill it. I really find it to be quite tough. I do have one in the background, but you won't be able to see it because we're a little bit jungle-fied. But if you have never tried one of these plants, I strongly urge you to pick one up. They are slightly less mainstream than things like the verrucosum or the melanochrysum or the splendid, but nonetheless, if you can find one, this is probably going to be your favorite heart-shaped philodendron, and what better time to get one now that the prices have dropped and things are becoming so much more available. I promise you guys, you won't regret it. It is one of the most easiest care philodendrons I have ever owned across the board, and I've owned hundreds. So if that doesn't convince you to buy one now that it's cheap, then I guess nothing will. Coming in hot in this list is the Hoya Carnosa Compacta. And in this case, it's variegated because these things used to be so difficult to get. I know when I bought one in around about 2020, they were impossible to get. And I bought quite a big long one because they do grow very slow. If you've never owned one before, you need to really have a lot of patience if you're going to buy one of these things. I bought one quite long and I was absolutely thrilled, but I had to pay a lot of money for it. Even for a small one, I had to pay a lot of money. So you can imagine. But I'm pleased to tell you, in most garden centers or box stores, if you're in the US, you can actually find them now, along with the Mauna Loa as well, which is kind of like the inverse to the Variegated Compacta. So the Variegated Compacta usually has variegation on the outside of the leaf. The Mauna Loa is the opposite, and it has it on the inside of the leaf. And it's absolutely stunning. I urge you to pick one up if you are into Hoya. Now is honestly the time. I don't personally think they're going to get cheaper. Hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before on this channel. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think once we get things into box stores, we're kind of in the clear zone for stuff like that. Is this something you fancy adding to your collection? Because I'm honestly kind of considering it with these skylights up here. I could do it, you know, I could hang some stuff. This is such a gorgeous Hoya, and the only thing I think you need to be wary of is pests. Because if you get anything like mealybugs, for example, due to the way that the plant is formed, it's often very difficult to get those pests gone. I probably suggest dipping it, or some people like to use cotton buds and stuff like that. So stay vigilant with your pest control. But other than that, beautiful plant. So up next, I have been waiting for this plant to drop in price for an awful long time now. This has been expensive for a while, and it's now finally dropped down to a box store price. And that's not to say it's everywhere, but you can get it. And that is the Philodendron Snowdrift. This is the most beautiful and unique philodendron. It has really uniquely shaped leaves, and it has a beautiful, unique color. in the way that it's kind of mottled, minty, almost pinky sometimes. It goes through a range of colours, and I personally find that that colour stays around a long time when the old leaves harden off. So when the old leaves fade down, it is a wonderful plant. You will need to put it on a pole eventually if you want to pick one up, but honestly, I found this plant pretty easy when I owned it, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years ago, and I loved it. There's something very, very special about variegation like this, where it is a little bit minty, it is a little bit mottled, it looks like someone's taken a spray can and sprayed the leaves. I personally really, really dig that, and I really like the colours that it throws, and I think it can look really nice among a collection of mainly green plants. So if you're interested in something that just behaves a little bit differently, then you might actually want to pick this one up. I suspect you won't have too much trouble finding it among a collection of mainly green plants. So if you're interested in something that just behaves a little bit differently, then you might actually want to pick this one up. I suspect you won't have too much trouble finding it.
Are you looking to start a new business in 2025? Perhaps it's a new blog or a web shop, maybe even a portfolio, or you're opening up a new restaurant. The possibilities are endless with Squarespace. Squarespace is a one-stop shop to create your very own sleek and professional website built from a variety of modern and fully customizable templates. You don't need any technical knowledge whatsoever. I've been using Squarespace for years now. You guys know I love it, and I won't go anywhere else. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't really invest enough time into SEO, which is search engine optimization. And if I had to go about the whole thing myself, it would take so much time to research even where to start, let alone the tools needed to do it. With Squarespace, everything is handled for me. Every website created is optimized for meta descriptions, sitemaps, and much more, making sure your new website shows up more often on search engines, which of course increases your potential reach. If any of this sounds good to you, then you can try Squarespace for yourself for absolutely free. You can check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Kaylee Ellen to save 10% off your first website or domain purchase. Thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
Moving on from that, the next plant is something I used to own, and I am actively seeking another one because since making this video, I decided I need one back. And that is the Maranta silver band. Yes, I know I have a lot of aroids, but I do like other things. I do like Hoya. I do like Maranta. I have two different Maranta up there. I have the lemon lime and I have the basic one, the one with the pink veins. Can't remember the name. Fascinator, I think it's called. But the silver band is so, so beautiful, and I would personally love to put one on the shelves behind me. But now that it's super cheap, I can. Because when I first bought mine, guys, story time, I bought mine off eBay in around 2020, maybe 2021. And a 3-leaf plant, I think it was, cost me around about 500 UK pounds. That is crazy. Now, of course, we can get them in box stores, and if you are a Maranta lover, I personally think it's absolutely essential that you add one to your collection. So from me to you, I'm giving you permission to go and buy it because it's affordable. You can't lose. You cannot lose. We're not dropping any money on things. Try it, see if you like it. Again, I've probably flashed pictures of the other Maranta that you can get, but it's certainly a really, really pretty one, and I do think you should add it to your collection. The care on that, by the way, if anybody wants care tips, it's exactly the same as any of the other Maranta, in my opinion. There is no difference for me personally between any of the colours that I've shown you or any of the colours that exist. If you know differently, feel free to call me out in the comments. I honestly don't mind. But yeah, super easy prayer plant. It's pretty cool that they move as well. One of my favorite things about prayer plants is how they move. Super cool. It feels like the plant has, I don't know, like it's got a personality. Coming in next is a very, very acquired taste. I know, you either have to love or hate this plant. This is the Philodendron joepii. But hey, it's cheap now. But when I bought mine, it was literally $500 or $600, and that was in 2019. That is pre-pandemic price, okay? This, at one point in time, was a huge collector's item. And the fun fact, the joepii that I have is all the way from America. It's come a long way and it's lived with me here. But luckily now, if it's something you like, because honestly, guys, it's not for everybody, you can indeed find it in plant shops. It's definitely being produced in Europe. I don't know who passed the supply around first, but honestly, you can order this into your plant shop if you own one of those, and you can sell it. I don't know whether I recommend doing that based on my experience of owning a shop, because as I mentioned before, it is an acquired taste. It looks a bit weird. And if you want a plant that's a different shape, personally, I maybe wouldn't get this. It's not super difficult to take care of, but I think in terms of something that looks different, you could maybe get something a bit prettier. So although it is cheap, I'm almost recommending it against this one because I just think you could probably get more bang for your buck, even though in this case, the buck isn't much buck because it's now quite affordable. But I had to put it in case anybody's watching for the price drops. It's there for the taking if you want it. So we're going to go back to Hoya real quick and we're going to talk about the Hoya Silver Dollar. Listen, when I had loads of Hoya, if you've watched my channel long enough, you'll know, at one point I probably had about 20 odd different types of Hoya and a lot of them were very rare. Back in 2020, when I was collecting, one of the Hoya that I just could not get my hands on was Hoya Silver Dollar. And to my surprise, when I was Googling the other day, I found it in a plant shop. And you could just buy it. Admittedly, I don't think it was a very big plant. I think it was a very small starter plant, but that is not the point. The point is, it went from being completely unobtainable to just being able to buy from a shop, and I think that's fantastic. I would debate actually adding it back to my collection, although, spoiler alert, there's a few Hoya that I'm kind of eyeing up at the minute. Not from this video, but I've got some ideas, guys, maybe for a wish list. I've got some ideas, I know. But this light, it may not look it in the house. This is probably very good for Hoya, so. But if you have always wanted a Hoya Silver Dollar, if you are at least in the UK and the EU, I'm telling you now, you can find it. You can find a one-leaf cutting and you can find slightly larger plants. So Hoya collectors, wise up and rise up and go get your plant because I think it's in the shop and somebody might buy it. Hoya are generally having a bit of a comeback at the minute and it's kind of cool to see. I actually didn't notice any of it because I've been too busy dealing with Anthurium, but I'm definitely noticing a surge in Hoya, which is kind of nice to see because they're very cool plants and in my opinion they're very forgiving. So go and try one. Up next we have the Philodendron Florida Beauty, another one that I have always said from year on year on year, this plant holds its value and it's a good investment. Now this is not actually the cheapest plant in this list and I've not done this list based on, least expensive to most expensive or vice versa. It's not the cheapest plant in this list, but I have to let you know that if you ever wanted to buy something closer to like a starter plant, at least in the UK and the EU, you can probably pick one up for like 30 euros, maybe even a little bit less. And that's for a plant with really good variegation, by the way, because back in the day, if you're really looking for Florida Beauty, you didn't necessarily get all the choice in the world when it came to variegation. But luckily, now you can, and most places have it. There are some shops still trying to make a bit more of a margin on them, so do shop around. Honestly, don't take the first result you see. If you don't want to buy from a shop at all, of course, there's always the other things like eBay, Facebook sellers, plant groups, plant swaps, all of that kind of stuff. But I thought it was kind of cool that it's now become more available because in my personal experience, guys, they are really, really tough plants. Once you learn how to propagate them, because they're not the easiest plant in the world to propagate, they will do you really, really fine. Get them on a pole, they will size up really, really well. Be careful with burning because that variegation can be quite delicate because the leaves are quite thin. But other than that, honestly, I don't think you'll have any problems. Bonus point about this plant as well, because it is slightly more on the expensive end of the cheap stuff, if you wanted to sell off a cutting of your Florida Beauty, you could do that and you could actually recoup a little bit of the money that you paid for the plant. So it's not an investment plant in the sense that you can make loads of money, but you could stand to make at least your money for the plant back because there is nearly always somebody that wants one of these plants. And why not? They're absolutely gorgeous. So the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma variegata in this instance, it's got a lot of history. It's got a lot of history. Way back when, in the pandemic era, one of these sold for literally thousands of dollars. Was it $15,000? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But oh, how the mighty have fallen. Now that's not a reflection on the plant. Personally, I think the plant is fantastic. I do actually have one upstairs. I should have brought it down for this video, but it's beautiful. And the care is just the same, in my personal opinion, as a regular tetrasperma. It's a beautiful, beautiful alternative to a Monstera albo if you want the look of a Monstera albo but you don't have the space. This plant is probably your number one bet. It's really nice if you want to put it in like where an office is, on an office desk near a window, to give you that variegated Monstera vibes without the massive plant so your boss doesn't complain. It's a fantastic one for that and I absolutely love it. They are not the quickest to grow, in my opinion, but they do stay quite hardy. So I think it kind of balances it out. And I don't personally mind that they take longer to grow because it adds into the fact that they are quite small and quite compact. I've seen these things grow up poles, and I've also seen them trail across walls, down from pots, loads of different ways of growing them. I honestly think you can get super, super creative with this plant. Beautiful lily white variegation, because I know some people are a little bit funny about the colour of their variegation. I cannot recommend this plant enough. You need to go and get it now. It is beautiful, and providing you get a specimen with good variegation, I honestly doubt you will regret it. They are absolutely stunning. So I couldn't really mention the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma variegata without just mentioning the good old-fashioned Monstera albo. I know, but it's great, guys. It's great. This thing, as we all know, it needs no introduction. It used to cost hundreds, depending on where you were in the world. I think even at its peak moment for us in the UK during the pandemic, it might have only been maybe 100 to 150 a leaf maximum. In the US, however, and other parts of the world, my heart goes out to you because people were spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in some cases on these plants. But what a joy it is that we can now all have one pretty much if we want them. They still might have a price tag here and there. If you go to a boutique plant shop, it's going to be more expensive, but that's kind of the same with every plant that you could ever buy. Boutique shops have to have a higher markup because they can't get big wholesale deals, you know, the big box stores can get and everything else, so their prices have to be higher. They have more bills to pay. However, if you've ever wanted a variegated Monstera, now is your time, because when they started coming out more into box stores and things like that a couple of years ago, the variegation on them was not very good quality, in my personal opinion. It was quite low. Now, however, I nearly always see really nice lily white Monstera. I don't see super low variegates or anything like that, and if I do, they're discounted. So I think now is probably the time if you want to buy one, because the price is low and the quality is high. I don't think you can get any better than that. That's where the two lines meet on the graph. So if you want one of those, I suggest you get shopping. But I'm sure most of us probably have one anyway, unless we're living under a rock. Unless you don't like it. I mean, some people don't. I just don't think I've met anybody that doesn't yet, actually. I want to know if you've got a plant in your area that used to be hundreds of dollars that's super cheap. I also want to know if you've bought a plant for hundreds of dollars and now it sits there and you can buy it in a box store. How do you feel about that? Do you regret the purchase? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye!